program is brought to you in living color.
I walked through the damp, foggy streets, my mind swirling. So much content, so many podcasts. How do I find the best? Then it hit me like a big blue neon sign flashing through the mist. Blueberry. All I had to do was drop the E's and go to blueberry.com. Blueberry, the digital media interface for consumers, creators, and advertisers.
Stay tuned for a thriller-minute, action-packed private eye drama with the new adventures of Johnny Nutpunch, coming up next on most of these Behringer Broadcast System stations. The mean streets of Milwaukee are no place for a girly man. Yet there are plenty of manly girls in the city that made fetal alcohol syndrome famous. But when the clock on the wall is sneaking up on 2 o'clock and the barkeep hollered last call a half hour ago, you got a choice to make. Either it's gonna be that puffy-eyed Leviathan torturing the bar stool next to yours, causing it to groan in agony as she makes with the blink, wink, and smile at you. Or another short night with a bottle of hand lotion and the memories of Lenore, that rare and radiant maiden that the angels named Lenore, shot dead with my 44. She played the wrong guy for a chump. Sure, she was beautiful in the same way that Hitler is evil, from head to bright red polished toe. Lenore had that in common with Hitler too. I checked out my reflection in the nearly empty glass of rot gut sour mash, and I noticed the she-beast sitting next to me had somehow managed to maneuver her overburdened bar stool a little closer to mine.
You got any place to be tonight, Mr. Man?
This actually seemed like as good a time as any to actually look up and take a look at this pachyderm, size her up to create an unintentional pun, look her over and see whether or not she'd be preferable to that bottle of lotion and years of regret.
I like little fellas like you. I could just eat you up.
She looked like she meant it. She had one of those wide mouths like a catfish, but without the long, sharp whiskers on either side that can jab you in the finger if you ain't careful. She smiled, and I saw she didn't have her 2 front teeth up top. That explained the lisp. She smelled like cheap perfume and spoiled fish. Her hair was dime store yellow until it got within 2 inches of her oily, flaky scalp when it took a sharp turn to salt and pepper. No doubt, she thought she was pretty. She looked like she put on her makeup with a trowel.
My name is Beverly.
Beverly Hills, more like it, I thought but didn't say. She blew a lungful of smoke into my face, and it smelled like tobacco and rotting teeth. I looked, and she didn't have a cigarette. One could only imagine where that smoke came from. I didn't want to know. That bottle of lotion was looking better and better.
I can put my whole fist into my mouth.
Lady, you just spoiled the romance. I turned around on my bar stool, put my Buster Browns on the floor, and started for the door.
Hey! I told you my name. You didn't tell me yours.
I turned my head back over my right shoulder and felt 3 of my neck bones cracking like knuckles. It felt great. They call me Johnny Nutpunch. And don't ask me why.
Don't ask him why, lady.
That was Scooty Pete, the barkeep. I've known him for years, ever since I took up the rot gut habit after punching Lenore's ticket back in 38. Or was it 44? No, it was 38. It was the 44 I shot her with. She wasn't pretty no more after that. They called him Scooty Pete because of his chronic problem with intestinal parasites. He couldn't sit still. You didn't want him to sit on your furniture because he would just scoot and scoot and scoot his butt across the cushion. I suppose it made him feel better. Just made me feel sick. But he was right. I earned that last name the hard way.
You're listening to the new adventures of Johnny Nutpunch, the hard-boiled private dick with a mind like a steel trap and a right fist like a jackhammer. He doesn't use a gun. He doesn't need it.
There ain't no jam I can't get out of with a swift punch to a wise guy's package. Little Egypt sitting on the bar stool with the crumpling legs looked like she might be packing a bigger sack than any I've ever punched. It was time to leave before trouble started. What I didn't know is it already had. I didn't see the mug standing in the alley. I certainly didn't see the blackjack he had just used to crack my coconut. And by the time I woke up, I didn't see a friendly face in the room. I rubbed the back of my head and propped my aching back against the filthy wall. I sized up the situation, saw the two goons who had just worked me over, so I thought I'd engage them in conversation. So you heard the one about the Pope and the head of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and they walk into a bar and the Pope has a duck under his big tall hat, and the Eastern Orthodox Patriarch says, The room lit up like a shutterbug's flashbulb when one of the goons in the room socked me in the puss.
When I want to hear jokes, I turn on the radio and listen to Jack Benny.
That voice. I've heard it before. My brains were pretty scrambled at this point from the rot gut and the blackjack and the punch in the kisser, but in 2 seconds I knew I was looking into the twisted face of evil itself. Baron Luther von Hellsberg, the leader of the gang of Nazi saboteurs that Lenore was shilling for in 44. If you've ever wondered why the Navy has a base on Lake Michigan, von Hellsberg is the reason why. So I thought you were one of the goose-stepping bullet heads that got his neck stretched in Nuremberg. The goon who socked me made like he was gonna do it again, so I blew him a little kiss. Von Hellsberg yelled something in that Nazi lingo of his, and the big galoot dropped his arm and sulked out of the room like he'd been ordered to go outside and make number 2 in the flower garden.
I prefer you alive for the time being, Johnny. There will be time for, shall we say, recreation later?
Australian rules football is my game. No pads, no helmets, a game for men.
Football, yeah, perhaps we play that. But with my foot and your equipment.
He didn't even have the balls to say balls. But then, in that particular context, one isn't generally allowed to refer to those things on the radio. I carry a special license from the Federal Communications Commission to say whatever I want. You only have to nut punch a bureaucrat once to get his attention, and his signature on a permit. But what did this remnant of the Third Reich want with me, other than to cause me discomfort?
What indeed? Perhaps we'll find out when this action-packed episode of The New Adventures of Johnny Nutpunch continues after this.
In many foreign lands, wherever wine connoisseurs gather, they enthusiastically praise the distinguished character of Roma wines. Such praise of Roma wines in foreign lands can only mean that they are truly magnificent in quality. Roma wine's excellence is due to a unique combination of California's perfect soil and climate, from whence come the choice Roma wine grapes, plus age-old winemaking skill and modern knowledge. These combine to make Roma constant in quality, uniformly fine, unexcelled in value. Tomorrow, discover for yourself the delightful Roma taste and goodness enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine. Simply serve as an appetizer before dinner a cool glass of golden nut-like Roma California sherry. Then on the table, place a bottle of cool, hearty Roma Burgundy. You will be pleasantly surprised at the extra delight it adds to your meal, how it will win new compliments from family or guests. Yet, the cost is only pennies a glassful. Get Roma wines tomorrow. If your dealer is temporarily out of Roma, please try again soon. Ask for R-O-M-A, Roma wines. Remember, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
Beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you Kay Daumit's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Gives loveliness lather even in hardest water. Glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream Shampoo and be a
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now we return to the new adventures of Johnny Nutpunch, and this, the case of Nazi revenge.
His cell, these Jew-murdering jokers slapped me into was wallpapered with pictures of Lenore. Lenore, the rare and radiant maiden that the angels named Lenore. She weren't no maiden, not no more. I sent her to the devil a satisfied woman. Clearly, this was meant to torture me, and it was working. For one thing, the rot gut from last night, mixed with the freestyle clobbering I'd been subjected to over the past evening's entertainment, gave me a headache the size of Lotta Cargo, the name I'd created in my mind for the poorly coiffed monstrosity I was considering committing yet another mortal sin with last night. I couldn't help but stare at Lenore's picture. She was drop-dead gorgeous. That's what my partner Jimmy said right before she shot him in the eye. He dropped dead, but she was gorgeous. And I was the FBI's prize chump. Yeah, they actually have a prize for that. It's like a medal that you have to wear on your neck for a year. A whole year. Then you're fired with full benefits. I thought Lenore was working with us, leading us to the Nazi saboteurs who were blowing up ships in Lake Michigan. Turns out she was one of them. But it took my partner getting his right eye and the better part of his brain blown out through the back of his head to wise me up to that fact. She was going to do the same thing to me, but I was quicker with my 38. No, wait, it was a 44. It happened in 38. No, it was 1944. The year was 44, the gun was a 44, so that should be easy enough to remember. But nothing is easy. Not anymore.
So, I hope you rested well.
What the heck do you want, Von Hellsberg?
Oh, not that much. Just use this gun to put a little hole in the front of your head and a great big one in the back. And then I will read the newspaper through your skull while I enjoy my morning schnitzelbraten.
There's nothing but bad news in the paper. Didn't your Fuhrer tell you that? Oh, wait. He had Russians reading Pravda through the hole he put in his own head, as I recall.
Silence! I would strike you, but I have just had my manicure.
Darn. I haven't had lady fingers for breakfast since before the war.
Still cracking with the wise. We shall see how wise you are with your brains splattered all over the wall.
You seem to have anger issues, Von Hellsberg. Still sore about that losing the war thing?
The war? You think this is about the war?
Well, let's see. You've always had a face like the south end of a northbound sow, the intelligence of a mentally disabled child of an Alaskan lawyer with a malpractice record a mile long, and the sweet temperament of a longshoreman during a hooker's strike. So it can't be those. That leaves...
My daughter! You murdered my daughter!
Lenore! She was your daughter?
Yes, she was my only child.
If I had been able to stand, you could have knocked me over with a feather. But it explains so many things. Her German accent, the way she used to have to stop herself from saluting during a newsreel when they showed Hitler giving a speech, her constant hectoring about information about the atomic bomb our boys are putting together out in the desert. She seemed awfully interested in atomic science for a girl. As shocked as I was, I couldn't resist rubbing Von Hellsberg's nose in it. Your daughter? That's shocking, seeing how much brain she had in that pretty skull of hers. That's when Von Hellsberg yelled for his goons. My German is nicht so gut, but I know enough to know that he told them to beat me within an inch of my life, but not to kill me, because that would be his honor. He said an inch, but I think they cheated, as I was clearly 3/4 of an inch from dead at the end of my beating.
How will Johnny get out of this one? Will Johnny get out of this one? Or will his first episode also be his last? We'll find out when this flashbang episode of the New Adventures of Johnny Nutpunch continues.
Here's a mutual note for you. Even the most active of youngsters needs a brief let-up now and then from summertime strenuous outdoor play. Every weekday afternoon at 5 o'clock, Mutual presents a variety of programs to delight all children. There are exciting adventures in a fantastic land of imaginary characters where anything is possible and all things are wonderful. Kids and grown-ups, too, will love these fancy-free tales of out-of-this-world entertainment. The Best of the West comes your way as well every Monday through Friday afternoon, when you can listen to the cowboy songs and tunes that are everyone's favorites. The music that is part of the history of frontier days and that still is part of the background of Western life today brings...
This is the last week
Yes, this week is your last chance on this program to hear how to get a 14-karat gold-plated copy of Sergeant Preston's famous mounted police whistle. So hurry, get this official two-tone police whistle offered only by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the swell-tasting king-size cereals shot from guns. You get with this terrific whistle a 12-inch gold-colored braided nylon cord to hang from your buttonhole or belt. It's a beauty of a whistle, plated with gleaming 14-karat gold. It's a heavy whistle. You can feel the weight and quality of the heavy-duty metal. It's a big whistle, actually over 3.5 inches long. And listen to its two-tone sound that shows it's an official police whistle. Think of the signaling you can do with this Sergeant Preston whistle. Perfect for dark night. Handy in any emergency. Just what you need for training and calling your dog. Don't forget, this police whistle is not for sale in any store. To get it, buy a package of Quaker Puffed Rice or Quaker Puffed Wheat, the famous breakfast cereals shot from guns. Actually exploded up to 8 times normal size to make them bigger and better tasting. Delicious and tender as nuts in November. Then send the box top with only 35 cents. That's 35 cents and your name and address to Yukon, Box L, Chicago 77, Illinois. You'll get a money-back guarantee with your swell 14-karat gold-plated Sergeant Preston mounted police whistle. Yes, hold it in your hand. Blow it, just once. And if it isn't better, far better, than any other whistle you've ever seen, you may return it and get every cent of your money back, plus postage. So hurry, hurry, hurry. This is the last week of this radio offer. Send 35 cents and a box top from Quaker Puffed Wheat or Quaker Puffed Rice to Yukon, Y-U-K-O-N, Yukon, Box L, Chicago 77, Illinois.
And now the conclusion of this episode of The New Adventures of Johnny Nutpunch.
When I came to, I was sitting in a chair in front of a desk. Behind the desk sat von Hellsberg. I wasn't handcuffed. I think he wanted me to try to run. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction.
And now we come to the end of our little dance.
Yeah, and you didn't even step on my toes.
Again with the jokes. Such a funny man. So, you're free to leave.
So you can shoot me in the back? You'd like that.
Yes. It is one of a few of my favorite things.
Knock off the sound of music, crud. If you're gonna kill me, get it over with.
No, not until after the surprise.
Oh, is there going to be cake?
Better than that. Come in now, my darling.
A panel slid open behind him and out stepped Lenore! The rare and radiant one-time maiden, the angel's name, Lenore.
It is remarkable what your American doctors can do. It took a while for my hair to grow back, but a little time and several metal skull plates, and here I am.
Well, spank me until my bottom gets all puffy and call me the Marshmallow Man.
Still kinky, I see.
You loved it, you beautiful skank.
Enough with the love talk. My beautiful daughter, though she is still beautiful, had to go through years of painful surgeries because of you, Johnny. And I waited until she was released from the hospital so she could see me avenge what you did to her.
That's the thing about vengeance. Once you've had it, you want more. And when you get more, it's never enough. It's like cake. Von Hellsberg reached into his jacket and withdrew a Ruger pistol. A true Nazi to the end. He stood up, his daughter behind him, and leveled his Ruger at my forehead.
As I recall, Lenore, he shot you right above the left eyebrow, yeah?
He took aim. I closed my eyes. I've seen a lot of things, but My own brains were not about to be on that list of things I've seen a lot of.
Goodbye, Johnny.
I heard the gunshot. At first I thought he missed. Then I figured I must have been killed instantly. It finally dawned on me to open my eyes. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Von Hellsberg was standing in front of his desk, blood pouring from a through-and-through bullet wound from his shoulder blade to his sternum. Lenore had the Derringer in her hand. It was still pointed at her father.
Nobody kills the man I love, except for me, and not while I still love him. So, as you can see, Father, this was a predicament.
Von Hellsberg remained standing, wobbling, but standing.
I am going to die. But before I go, I have to know one thing.
And what's that?
Your name. Johnny Nutpunch. How did you get that name?
I thought you'd never ask.
Oh, Daddy, you should not have asked that question.
I balled up my right hand into a fist and...
God, my balls! You punched me in the nuts! And that's how he got his name.
Darn tootin', Cupcake. With the combination of the nut punch and the bullet in his chest, it all proved to be too much for Von Hellsberg. He sank to the floor and died. Lenore put her Derringer back into her purse. So, no hard feelings, huh? About shooting you in the head, I mean?
You actually did me a favor. You blew out that part of my brain that caused me to be an evil Nazi. So, we must go now to your police so you can turn me in for killing your partner.
I got a better idea. How about you pay me back some other way?
Yeah, okay. And then after that, the police?
No, after that we get you a private eye license, and you're my partner.
That is a much better prospect than being a prisoner on death row.
Baby, that's the nicest thing anyone said to Johnny Nutpunch in a long time.
Join us next time on this Behringer Broadcast System station for the next episode in the new adventures of Johnny Nutpunch. You're listening to the BBS, the Behringer Broadcast System.
Serving a large portion of Howard County, Maryland, this is the flagship station for the Behringer Broadcast System, KFBS in Elkridge, Maryland.
Hard-Boiled Radio and Johnny Nutpunch are copyrighted performances by Bill Schmalfelt. Copyright 2015. Written, produced, and voiced by the author. All rights reserved. For more information about Hard-Boiled Radio, visit our website, hardboiledradio.com, or send us a tweet at hardboiledradio. Our email address is hardboiledradio@comcast.net. I'm Bill Schmalfelt. Until next time, may all your radio fantasies come true, and may all your endings be happy ones.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No East. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.